Hi, folks, and welcome to another edition of An Hour with Bob. Today, I got a special guest, a good friend, and a legend in comedy in the state of Rhode Island. His name is John Perrotta. You probably know him. You've probably seen him at one of the 50 or so venues in the state of Rhode Island and nearby Massachusetts doing comedy. And he's a guy that, unless you want to be taunted, you probably don't want to sit right in front of him because he'll nail you. John Perrotta, how you doing?
Hey, great to see you, Bob. Great to be back on.
Yes, but he'll nail you in a good way. He'll have fun with you.
In a good way.
Yeah, you'll have fun with people. It's amazing what you do with people.
Yeah.
And how you interact with people when you talk to them. You ask them. There's got to be a technique for that. There's got to be.
Well, when I started comedy in the 90s,
Yep.
I was doing jokes, but then I noticed I do a little bit of crowd work and we'll get bigger laughs.
Right.
So I tried to I knew then in the early 90s that my best stuff was crowd work, but the problem was, how do you develop an act with crowd work like a guy like, of course, Rick Rickles, the ultimate legend.
Well, yeah.
Yeah, but a guy like him. But I did it little by little, doing a lot of bachelor parties. Back in the 90s,
Oh,
guys,
God.
yeah, guys would have a
That's
bachelor
perfect.
party.
That's
They didn't
perfect.
want to get the stripper because they had the girl's father there and their brother, so they hire a comedian, have a dinner, then guys like me would go up and they didn't want to hear jokes. I tell a joke, they're looking at me. And then I start busting Uncle Bill, and they're laughing.
Right,
So
right.
I figured, and that's how I got the crowd
Sure.
work. Little by little, I developed my act. With, now I go up, I do mostly crowd. I do some jokes, but most of my act is crowd work. 'Cause
So
that's
is it safe to say that Rickles was one of your favorites?
He's my idol. Yeah, Don Rickles.
And we met Rickles.
We met Rickles thanks to you. We went to the Work Musical Theater. It was somewhere around there. I think it was the early 90s. Or,
Yeah,
and
yeah.
with Dave DiLorenzo, my late great friend Dave DiLorenzo, and we went. And I went over to the fence, and Rickles came over. He actually sent me an autographed picture.
Oh, did he?
Yeah, and I don't know what happened to it, but I wound up
Oh,
getting another
no.
autographed picture.
Yep.
But I had one. I got to talk to Don Rickles. That was
Exactly.
the only time I saw him, and I went over to the fence when he came out of the trailer and got to talk to him. That was incredible.
Well, he did several promos for me that day, which
Yeah.
I still have. I just got to find him. He was hilarious. He did promos for my Bob's Big Adventure show and promos for An Hour with Bob.
Yeah.
He's going, Bob's Big Adventure. Who the hell is this Bob's Big Adventure? What is this Bob's Big An Hour with Bob? I can't spend 2 minutes with you. he went off on me, but it was hilarious.
Yeah, he was great.
And we were talking about, Diane and I, who works here, we were talking about Don Rickles just before you came in, ironically. And I mentioned that at the Work Musical Theater, that when I met him, and because Larry Bonoff would take me in the back, and I met everybody that was
Awesome.
ever played
Wow.
there, ever sang there, whatever. Like we talked about Tom Jones, who was great.
I love Tom
Phenomenal. What a voice that guy had.
I still listen to Tom Jones. I got his greatest
Exactly,
CD
exactly.
in my car. You know?
And I got to. In fact, I busted him up a little bit, Tom Jones. I said something what he had in his pants because he used to, stand there. It looked like he was had a big bulge or something.
Yeah, oh yeah.
And I said he's carrying something. He's got something else in there. First, I said it was a roll of quarters, but I said it was too big to be a roll of quarters.
He's 85 now, I think. I saw.
I
the
know.
other day. Tom
I
Jones is
saw him on
85.
some show or something recently. A few months ago, I saw him on.
He still got it. He still got it.
Yeah.
That's pretty good.
But Rickles, sadly, after that, I had that connection with Rickles. So a friend of mine said, "Hey, he's got to be at Lincoln." I said, "Well, maybe I'll catch him the next time." He died.
He
right
died,
after
yeah.
that.
I should have saw him more times than I only saw him that one time with
Yeah.
you. I wish I should have saw him 10 times. I loved him when I was a kid watching him on TV, how he busted the crowd, and I just loved that, you know what I mean?
How about what's his name now? I can't think of his name. I get no respect.
Oh yeah, I like all the Rodney Dangerfield.
Rodney.
Now Rodney, back in 2017, I think 3 times I went out to New York City.
I was going to say that. Went to his place.
Yeah, I did Dangerfield's Comedy Club.
Right.
Just an open mic. I went there. I was so excited to be in that.
Oh, bet you were as a comedian.
Yeah, there were pictures up of Rodney with Robin Williams and Sam Kinison and Dice Clay. And
Right.
The history in that building was unbelievable. And I got going up there to perform. And I tell you, I was nervous. It was an open mic.
I bet you were.
Pretty good crowd, and I wound up doing it like 3 times I did total. I went there, and it was phenomenal. I loved it.
What road was that? What street was that on?
Yeah, I don't remember the street.
37th or something. It was
Yeah, they wound up closing it. Now there's another club opening up called Rodney's Place or something like that. But I know that they closed that one. There was a waiter there that he was in his 90s. He was there from when Rodney was there. And when I went there, he was there. And he died a couple of years back. I saw it that he had passed away. He was like this waiter that had been in Rodney's waiter there for years. You know what I mean?
And who made Rodney Dangerfield and all those guys? Who made him?
Well, Ed Sullivan got him on a lot.
Well,
back in the day.
Johnny Carson, really.
Johnny Carson, Carson, of course, and Ed Sullivan.
Ed Sullivan, you're right.
That's where I
Ed
first
Sullivan,
saw Rodney, was Ed Sullivan. That's where I
Ed
first
Sullivan
saw
made
him.
the Beatles,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
Putting them on. We didn't know anything about him, of the Beatles until they were on Ed Sullivan.
Yeah, and of course Carson. I watch clips every day.
Carson was the greatest.
Clips come up on Facebook and
Yeah, I see
Carson
them.
with Rickles, Carson with Rodney. I watch him every day. Whatever I see comes up. I love the old comedians, and Carson was the ultimate.
Do you know that sadly, they taped over 13 years of Johnny Carson?
I didn't know that.
Yeah, they used to use big 1-inch tapes, and they were expensive. So they would reuse them. NBC would reuse them. 13 years they taped them. You've seen years, well, you haven't seen the last several years, but for a while they had on TV, oh, you want to get the Carson tapes, and you can buy the Carson tapes weekly and all that stuff, like a club almost. But there was 13 years missing.
Wow, I didn't
Johnny
know that.
Carson, yeah.
Jeez.
And one of the great ones was what you said, Robin Williams.
And
was
him,
phenomenal.
Robin Williams, Buddy Hackett.
Yep.
He made me die laughing when I see his clips. Buddy Hackett's funny. He was a funny guy. He was a funny guy.
Oh, so many of those guys.
So many of
Even
those
go
guys.
back further, Red Skelton.
Red Skelton. I used to watch with my grandmother when I was
Now
a
he
little
was
kid.
on
He was on Carson.
Carson, but no, before Carson, he was on Sullivan.
Oh yeah, Red Skelton was tremendous. Yeah, what a talent. Oh yeah.
There were so many. But you like the interactive.
Yeah, I like the joke guy. I liked Henny Youngman. I liked Milton Berle. I liked all those older guys. I like that. That's the style of comedy I like. Not knocking the newer guys, but I'm just even TV. My friend Mike Cronin. I'm watching Modern Family. I'm watching this. I'm watching that. I watch like Green Acres and The Fugitive with David Jansen, and I look at the old shows. You know, Mannix. I'm like back in the 50s and 60s. Alfred Hitchcock presents The Twilight Zone. I don't watch the new shows. I'm still in the 60s and 70s and 50s.
Rod Sterling and The Twilight
I like
Zone.
James Garner was in.
Rockford Files.
Rockford Files, Mission Impossible. I watch all those older shows.
The real Mission Impossible, the TV show, not the movie.
Oh yeah, the TV show. Those shows, they don't make them like that anymore, as far as I'm concerned.
No, I agree with you wholeheartedly.
I try to watch a new show here and there, but some of them get me a little bit. But mostly, I like the old stuff. The old stuff, the older comedians, the older shows.
Right.
I'm stuck back in the Twilight Zone part.
But I find myself looking at those channels. I can't even think of the name of the channels, but some of them, Nick at Night, I guess, is one of them.
Yeah, there's different ones. Yeah.
You catch the shows in the 60s. Oh, I went to what was the biggest show on Sunday night on TV? NBC. It was on NBC, and it was sponsored by. See the USA in your Chevrolet. America's the greatest land of all.
On Sunday night, when I was a kid, I used to watch Walt Disney World. That's
Okay, what was on after?
Can't remember. What was it? I probably remember.
Bonanza.
Bonanza. Oh yeah, I used to love Bonanza.
The Cartwrights, yeah.
Loved Dan Blocker, Michael Landon.
Yeah.
I loved that show. That was a good show.
Well, I actually sat in Ben Cartwright's desk.
Are you serious?
That still places still the Bonanza, the Ponderosa is still in existence. It's in Incline Village in Nevada.
Oh wow.
Yeah, it overlooks Lake Tahoe, which is spectacular, absolutely spectacular.
Wow.
I got a picture that I took from there. It was a chipmunk sitting on a rail where they used to tie up the horses, sitting on a rail.
Wow.
And he's standing up. It was like he posed for me. He was only this far away from me. I snapped a couple pictures of him with the Lake Tahoe in the background.
Wow.
Which is very deep and a cold freshwater lake. It's very, very deep.
Bonanza was a great show. Another one I used to really love, The Big Valley. I used to love that show.
Big Valley?
Oh, I love that. Remember that show?
Yeah, I do.
Talking about old TV shows, but The Big Valley was great.
Yep.
Barbara Stanwyck.
Yep.
Richard Long. He died. He kind of died relatively young. He was an actor,
did.
Richard Long. He was a great actor. I loved him. He was in some other stuff. He was a great actor. Yeah,
How about the Virginian?
The Virginian was good, yeah.
I like the old cowboy. A lot of the old cowboy shows.
Yeah.
Wanted Dead or Alive. Who was that? Who started in that? Wanted Dead or Alive.
That was Richard Boone, wasn't it? It was
No. Oh, by the way, Richard, remember Boone? I was working at the Boys Club, but not working. I was going to the Boys Club because my father died when I was 7. So
Yeah.
my mother, with 8 kids, my mother threw us in the Boys Club.
Yeah.
So I was in the print shop, and I was in the woodworking shop, and I made my own shoe shine box, and I was out shining shoes at 8 years old.
Wow.
Yeah, from Pawtucket through Central Falls into Cumberland. By the
Jeez,
time I was
Bob.
9 and 10, bringing the money home to my mother.
You
Yeah.
got the kit with you today? Because I can use a shine.
Yeah, I know.
Could do it while we're talking, Bob.
But I'm at the print shop, and I make these cards, Wanted Dead or Alive. Come to find out, that series was created by a guy from, I think, Burrillville, Rhode Island.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, and a guy used to roam around in Burrillville, is it Burrillville or Foster, in that area in Rhode Island? Somebody will correct me.
Yeah.
In northwestern Rhode Island. He dressed all in black, like that guy used to dress.
Yeah.
Boone was his name, right? Yeah,
Yeah. Richard Boone.
Richard Boone. And he wore the cowboy hat, which stands out in Rhode Island. A guy with a cowboy hat going around, right?
Oh, yeah.
And the cowboy boots, but all black, dressed all in black. That was conceived by a guy in Rhode Island.
Oh, wow. Yeah, I love all those old shows.
But you like the comedy shows. You had a ton of them back in the day. Who's the woman there that was the big comedy legend? She's still alive, actually. What's her name?
Can't think of.
It'll come to me. Anyway, what do you got here? What's this?
That's
Comedy saved my life?
That's my gift to you, Bob. I'm giving you my book, How Comedy Saved My Life. How that came to be. My son Dave Perrotta is a best-selling author. He's written like 5 books.
Really?
And he started a company. For people that want to write a book, he started a company. And so I was thinking, I'm 67. I've had a pretty crazy life. I was in the Navy, went to 25 countries. I worked as a correctional officer at the ACI for 36 years. I've been doing stand-up comedy for almost 34 years. I'm on my 3rd marriage. Twice to the same woman, we'll mention that, but...
well, twice with the same woman.
So
I remember that story.
I've had a pretty crazy life, so I said, you know what? My son interviewed me, and I said, I want to get these stories out. I want to tell a story. And one of the main reasons I did it, I'm hoping to inspire somebody, because I had a drinking, a gambling, a cocaine problem. I had major... I was in a rehab at 16. I mean, I've been fighting this my whole life.
At 16?
16 years old, I went to a 6-month program. At 16, I went there on my own. Most of the kids there were court ordered. I went there on my own because my mother was having a tough time with my father's drinking, me with the drinking and everything. So I went to this program. It's called Marathon Host. They had it in Middletown, Rhode Island. I went there for 6 months.
Exactly, I remember that.
And I got a year of my life in rehabs, and I believe rehabs, they take you out of your life and make you think, hey, what you're doing is not right. You got to try to stop. Because I got a year of my life in rehabs, that's why I'm still here. I believe those rehabs really saved me. You know what I mean? But I just told my son, why don't we do a book? Why don't we do a book? I got a story, I think.
Yep.
And so we put the book together, and the reviews have been pretty good. One woman wrote, it's both heartbreaking and hilarious at the same time. My friend Joe Cabral is a comedian. He read the first 4 chapters, and the other day he called me. He said the book is intense. It starts out when I was an only child. I love my parents. My father had.
So you had the opposite. You're an only child.
Only child. My father was very bad drinking and severe depression and pills, and when I was a little kid, a lot of things happened that would scare me. You know what I mean? They would scare me. So I remember one time my mother put the food on the table. We were all sitting around the table, my father, mother, and I, and for whatever reason, all of a sudden he tipped the whole kitchen table over. Everything went flying.
Wow.
And one of my first memories of my father, I walked in his bedroom and I knew something wasn't right. I said, Dad, what's the matter? I was about 4 or 5 years old, and my father just stood up. He put his arm on the bureau, my mother's bureau, and knocked everything to the floor. The perfume, jewelry, brushes.
Wow.
And I was a little kid. I don't remember what happened after that, but I just remember being scared.
Right.
And my grandparents would come over a lot, and I said I'd never drink like my father. I swore up and down. It scared me. I will never drink like my father. And then...
but you did.
fast forward to 14 years old, some of the kids said, hey, tomorrow the older kids, we're all chipping in a couple of bucks a piece. They're going to buy some booze. We're going to drink on the railroad tracks before school. And I figured, I figured this can't be, maybe the cool kids. I want to get in with these kids. So I'll do it. So I went the next day, got up here a little earlier, went behind the railroad tracks, behind the old Narragansett Brewery where I grew up, and I went there, and they had a quart of German wine for me. It was called Liefermilch, something like that, Liefermilch. I drank the whole quart of wine, Bob. They kept egging me on, drink. I never drank in my life. My first drink was a quart of wine. I never drank socially. So from the very first time I drank, I was in trouble. And then I went to school. Of course, I had my first jackpot. I got in trouble at school, being, I had to call my parents and all of that. But then from 14 to 16, the drinking, I experimented with drugs. I got into gambling. My friend's father was a bookie. And we started betting games. The next thing I know, I lost $1,000 in a week, and I didn't have the money. The bookies would let you, it's not like how it is today, but the bookies would let you bet from like Tuesday to Monday Night Football.
Right.
And then on Tuesday, you had to pay them. So Tuesday comes, I'm down $1,000, and I'm a teenager. I don't have the money. So my father met with the bookie. The bookies were going to break my legs.
Right, yeah, of course. Back in the day.
My friend overheard him saying, hey, they're going to break his, this kid Perrotta, he owes us this money he don't have. We're going to break his legs. They wanted to knock me out. So my father met with the bookie. He said, hey, you shouldn't be taking bets off a teenager like this. And the bookie wanted him taking $500. And my father took a loan out for me. I had a $500 loan as a teenager, paying $40 a month.
Towards your debt.
Yeah, towards my gambling debt. So,
Wow.
So I had a gambling, a drinking, the drugs. I came out of the 70s. Which was, sex, drugs, and rock and roll. And I came out of the 70s, and I say in the book, it took me into my 50s to get the 1970s out of me. I was just...
Really?
I went worse than I didn't want to be like my father. I went up 100 times worse because of all the stuff I did. It was, I could tell you a story. I graduated Cranston East, and I'll never forget it. There's a couple hundred of us were on the beach, Scarborough Beach, 76. There's no...
And Scarborough was the beach.
Yeah, and there was no drunk driving back then. And all the kids are drinking, they're smoking pot. And 6 in the morning, Bob, I opened a can of beer, and I looked to the right of me, and they were either passed out in their cars or gone. I looked to the left of me, same thing, and I'm standing there, and there's a chapter in the book, Last Man Standing. I was still ready to party at 6 in the morning. I out-drank the whole 1976.
Drank all night.
Cranston East, they were gone or passed out. And I was ready for New Year's Eve. I was ready for New Year's Eve, Bob. I just loved partying. And I loved the persona of being a party. I loved, if you wanted a party with John Perrotta. I went from saying I wouldn't drink like my father to getting really, really bad.
Wow.
And when I got out of that rehab at 16, I decided, okay, I'm not going to watch out with the drugs. I'll just drink. And that's the problem in itself. But then I went in the Navy at 18, and my father wasn't too happy with that. I was
Why?
an only child.
Why was
I was supposed to go to CCRI, going to community college. I was thinking of going to Johnson & Wales to be a chef.
Right.
And I was the only child, and all of a sudden I tell my friend of mine came home on leave from the Navy. He's telling me he's in France and Spain.
Right, yeah,
and
traveling.
I'm thinking about it, and I said, if I just stay here and go to CCRI and work, I said, I want to go in the Navy. I didn't even say that to my father. I went downtown, went into the recruiter's office. I said, I want a job. You can put me on a ship and I'll travel all over the world. He said, operations specialist, which is a radar operator. He said, you become that and you get on a ship, you will travel the world. I signed up. We went over to some bar called Lorraine's. It was behind the Civic Center. We're drinking in there. I go home. I tell my father, well, I'm going to be leaving in a couple of weeks. He said, leaving? You're going to CCRI.
How old were you?
I was 18. He said,
oh, so you're old enough.
Yeah, he said, you're going
17,
to CCRI.
you had to have the parents.
Yeah. And then I told him, I'm going in the Navy, Dad. I'm leaving it to him. My father didn't talk to me for like 2 weeks.
Wow.
He was really upset with me, because they had stopped the Vietnam draft like shortly before that.
Right.
So he was like happy, well, my son's not going to get drafted.
Sure.
And then I go and join. And then that was another whole going in the Navy. That's talk about partying.
Oh, yeah, there you go, yeah.
Yeah, back in the 70s, it was just insane, you know what I mean? Because I got on, my second ship I got on, it was the USS Arthur W. Radford. I got on that, made a few buddies, and we went to 25 countries in 3 years. And I had that was the best time of my partying days.
Yeah.
I had a blast. I mean, we went to the French Riviera, we went to Egypt. I was in Egypt. We went out drinking, and the beer they served there was warm beer. I don't know.
Yeah, a lot of countries in
Yeah,
Europe,
terrible.
they serve warm beer.
Yeah, so we're in Egypt. We go in this bar, a bunch of us, and this kid comes in with he's got a bong, and he said $2, and he passes this bong around.
Oh,
we don't know what
God.
it was. Opium. I never
Oh,
did.
man, that's
Opium's
worse than
strong
pot.
stuff.
Yeah.
Yeah, so he passes this around. So now we're drinking the warm beer. We're
Now
doing
you're high.
opium.
Plus, their beer is stronger than beer here.
All I know
Higher
is
percentage
a
of
couple hours
alcohol.
later, Bob, I came out of that place. We had taken a horse and buggy there. My 3, 4 buddies, they were negotiating with the price with the guy. And I'm looking, it's a good idea to get on the horse and take off.
Yeah.
The heck with these guys. So I got on the horse, I hit it. Now I'm going down the streets of Egypt. Kid from Cranston, Rhode Island. I have no business. I can't even ride a car, never mind a horse.
Well, at least it wasn't a camel. It could have been a camel.
We'll get to that.
Yes. We'll get to that.
So I'm riding, the guy finally stops the horse. We get on the horse and buggy, then he lets me drive it. So now I'm hitting the horse.
Yep.
Another horse and buggy pulls next to me. Now we get in a race. We get in a race. I'm going up on the sidewalk, I'm going off the road. My buddies are all dying laughing. I mean, I look back now, if I could throw
That was the start of your comedy.
I would have got killed.
Yep.
It was kind of, yeah, it was
Yeah,
kind
that
of,
was the
I would
start
have
of
got
your
killed.
comedy.
I was nuts, Bob. Who steals a horse and buggy in Egypt? You got to be out of your mind. I did it though. I was nuts. And then we went on the desert. We got on camels. And
Oh,
we
you
go
did
out
do
into
the
the
camel.
desert. We were by the pyramids. We go out into the desert. And all of a sudden, my friend, the guy says, get off. My friend, he's trying to negotiate. We already paid you. The guy said, no, you owe more money. So now my friend's saying, we ain't going to pay you no more.
Right.
So now he kicked us off the camels. Now we're walking in the desert. I said to my friend, whatever the guy wants, you're going to give it to him.
Right.
We're in a desert.
Yeah.
We're not on that with Ave. We're in a desert. So we're in this desert walking. By the time we got, I don't know how long it was. It seemed like a while. And I get to a guy.
No water or nothing?
Nah, there was a guy selling Diet Cokes for like $5 or $10. I had to grab one.
Yeah.
It was in 77, 78, whatever it was. I had to grab a Diet Coke. I was dying, Bob. So there's a lot of, the Navy was crazy. A lot of crazy stories. The drinking was okay. Everybody, the captain, everybody was drinking.
Everybody, yeah.
Everybody was drinking. It was just it was a nutty time, and I had a blast. And then they wanted I was getting out of the Navy, and the ship was going to on a South American cruise, Rio de Janeiro, Peru.
I've been there. I've been
Yeah,
to
all
Rio.
these places, and I'm saying to myself, I got nothing. I might as well go. So I
Right.
asked the captain, "Can I sign up for 4 more months?" He said, "Sure." Sign up for 4 more months, an extension, and now I'm off to Rio de Janeiro,
Yep.
having a blast. I mean, it was insane out there.
Yep.
It was insane. I had a great time, and then my time was up. They wanted me to re-enlist me because I was an operations specialist,
Sure.
radar operator. It was called a critical rate. It was a shortage. So basically, the captain said to me, "Look, the bonus rate now is $16,000.
That's a lot of money back then.
1980 was a lot of money.
That's a lot of money.
So the bonus was sky high, and the captain said, if you re-enlist, I'm going to tell you what I'm going to do. You re-enlist today, I'm going to send you home for 30 days basket leave, which is like free vacation.
Right?
Basket leave, and you go home for a month, you come back. He said, I'll give you your $16,000. You'll have 3 years and 11 months left. You go to Newport to be an assistant to the instructors at the Officers War College.
Wow.
In Newport, Rhode Island. I mean, what better duty can you have?
No, none.
Place to live, a pocket full
Local,
of money.
home. You're home.
Half hour, 40 minutes from home. My father was like, you can't stay in, you'll drink yourself to death, which he was probably right. He said, you can't stay in, you got to get out. And it kind of, I felt pressured. I didn't know what to do.
Right.
I was kind of on the fence, and I wound up getting out.
Oh.
So when I
and
got
you're only
out-
what, 22 then, maybe?
I was 22, and then I really, and back then you could collect unemployment. So,
Really?
Yeah, as a veteran, you could collect. Now I don't think you can, but back then, if you got out of the military,
Right.
it was like you could collect unemployment. So I collected for 6 months, Bob. So one day I go down the unemployment office, they used to pay you there. The woman said, Mr. Perrotta, we've overpaid you the last 6 months. I have
Uh-oh.
to calculate what you have coming today. So she's going with the calculator, comes back, I can give you $2 today. $2. So I called my mother from the payphone. I'll never forget it. In unemployment office, I said, "Mom, 8 months ago, the Navy wanted to give me $16,000 to re-enlist and go to Newport. 6 months later, unemployment wants to give me $2.
$2.
I was out of my mind. I'm convinced I
You're
made
right.
a,
Did you want to call the...
I wanted to go back.
Yeah, no kidding.
I made a mistake. I felt I made a mistake.
Yeah.
But as it turns out, looking back, I'm probably better that I got out because of
You would've
the
drank
addiction
yourself to
problems
death.
we had a guy in the ship, he was a loan shark. So the guy Mo, and you wanted to go drinking or partying, and you didn't have any money. Well, Mo would give you $100. Payday, you're gonna give him $150 back.
150?
$150. He was a loan shark.
50%?
But now you're in France, Bob. You got women out there. You got plenty of partying. You want to go out. You don't want to sit in a ship broke.
Right.
So you give Mo, you'll give him the 150 payday, and he was a bookie. He would take our bets.
Oh God.
We used to have card games. It was insane. But then, like I said, I got out, and then I wound up meeting a nice girl. I was gonna get married. I married my first wife.
And your third wife?
Well, I married the first wife was another girl altogether.
Okay.
But the first wife, and she was a nice girl. The problem was my addictions, my demons.
Right.
I had no shot
Right.
at any marriage. So we wound up. We only lasted 7 months. It just didn't work out, and it's not. I blame myself and the drinking and the gambling and all the insanity. So we wound up getting divorced. It's a kind of a crazy story. I was out in New Orleans in the Navy Reserve for a school for 2 weeks, and she came with me. And after a week, we were kind of arguing and stuff, and we got back to the hotel room at 2 a.m, and the bar next door to the hotel room.
This is after 7 months of being married?
Yeah, we were married about 7 months,
Right.
and the bar next to the hotel we were at was packed. It was like 2 a.m. New Orleans.
Oh,
That's
yeah.
So I said to her, I got to go get one more. I got to go over there and party. She says, you go over there, I'm leaving tomorrow. So I went. So in the morning, I just had this big Italian wedding 7 months before.
Right.
So I went, and the morning came, she took a shower. I'll never forget it. She's standing by the door. She said, you want me to stay? I'll stay, or you want me to go? I'll go. And I'm looking at it, and I'm thinking, I love the girl I married. I wanted to stay. But then the demons in me said, you want to party. You go ahead. You want to go, go. And she left.
No way.
She left. So now I'm out in New Orleans myself for a week.
Right.
Going bananas.
Yep.
And the guy in my unit was telling her, he's doing this, he's doing that. And long story short, I had told my next door neighbor, all the guys in my neighborhood worked at the Narragansett Brewery, that's where I was from. So I told my neighbor Harold, I said, keep an eye on the house, we're gonna be gone for 2 weeks. So I come back 2 weeks later, Harold said, I kept an eye on the house. He said, a week after you left, he said, your wife pulled up in a U-Haul with 5 guys and emptied it out. So she emptied the house
Furniture
out,
and all, right?
everything. Here's what she did.
Oh, God.
She's a nice girl. It's funny.
She's a nice girl.
Here's what she did. We had a king-size waterbed, oak waterbed.
Oh, I
beautiful
remember
back
them.
then.
I had one.
She got the mattress, took all the water out.
Right.
Took the mattress out. They took the frame of the waterbed, took it all out of the room, like a wall-to-wall carpet in the bedroom. She put the mattress down again, filled it up with water. So I walked in the bedroom. I was 24 years old. My
With
mother,
no,
father,
no frame.
no
the frame's
frame, just
gone.
a
And by the
mattress
way,
of water.
the frame for a waterbed had to be real strong.
Oh yeah.
So the sides don't kick out.
So I had a mattress of water on the floor. My mother and father looking at me. I'm trying to move the mattress. My father's looking. Maybe he's got a problem. I'm 24 years old. All I had to my name was a mattress of water. I mean, most people have more than that at 24. I did 4 years in the Navy, 1.5 years reserves. I got a mattress of water to my name. But 16 grand was gone. I didn't even have the $2. Everything was gone. and that was it. And I wound up divorced. I wound up in rehabs. It was a battle to try to get myself straightened out. I had periods where I did well, but it was just a real battle. And then I started working as a correctional officer at the ACI.
ACI, yeah.
Started working there.
Yep.
And I was there about 36 years. I wound up staying there.
36 years you lasted there.
I don't know how I did it because I never was a tough guy. I'm an easygoing guy, but I got through a 36-year career and battled with I was in rehabs on and off and different stuff. I had a lot of turmoil, a lot of my life. It was, and then I straightened out for a while. I met my second wife. I had 2 kids. We bought a house, and I got a university in Roger Williams. I got a bachelor's degree.
That's where I went to school.
Yeah, I got a bachelor's degree in associated CCRI in criminal justice. So I was doing really well.
Yep.
And then I thought, I can party again. I'll be all right. And I can, I had a nice family. And then I started partying in the early 90s. And for 20 years, I couldn't get myself together. I kept my job. The miracle is I kept my job. And my family was bad. I lost my family probably somewhere around 98, 99. I lost my family. And most people lose their family, that's it.
Oh, yeah.
And I remember my wife had a restraining order on me, and one time I pulled up to my street at the red light. I'm looking down my street. My son's bouncing a basketball around. I couldn't take a right and go down my own street to see my son because I had a restraining order on me. So I had some rough times. I was at one point I was living in a hotel on Hartford Ave for $200 a week. The snow used to blow in under the door in the winter. I used to put a towel.
Really?
I mean, here I am. I got a college degree. I got a beautiful family.
Yep.
You
got a house?
I got a house. I got all this. I had started comedy. That was going well. I had so much really going for me, but I couldn't control my demons, my addictions. I couldn't control myself. I was just totally out of control.
I find that to be the case with a lot of people. Now, I'm the opposite. If I say I'm going to stop something, it's done. I stop it. I quit smoking New Year's Eve, 1989, 1990.
Yeah.
I just decided, and I was a heavy smoker. I'm not smoking anymore. I never picked up a cigarette again.
Yeah, that's good.
1984, I bought a restaurant. It was a diner when I bought it. I got a liquor license. I built the bar myself. I moved the grill and everything from the front to the back. You know, you used to have the grill in the front, and everybody sat at the low bar, low counter. I ripped that all down. I built a bar, big L-shaped bar, and I put all the other stuff in the kitchen. I made the kitchen where it should have been anyway, and I turned it into a pub.
Wow.
And the day I put that liquor license in that place, done drinking.
Wow.
That was 1984. I haven't had a drink since then.
See, for me, it was a little different. It was. I mean, there were periods I had, but I did have 40 months. I was doing great.
Right.
And I had an argument with my son Dave one day, and I went up to Twin River, started gambling. Of course, I ordered a drink. But at the end of that 3-month bender, I wound up doing cocaine for a weekend. Wound up on a rescue squad to Rhode Island Hospital.
Cut it out.
I'd gone to rehab for cocaine in 2005. In the last 20 years, the only time I did it was that last weekend of that 3-month bender. It was bad. And I thought I was dying, and I went to Rhode Island Hospital, and I said, that's it. I finally think I had enough. I said, that's it. And now
you finally outgrew it.
And now I have over 8 years, alcohol-free, cocaine, gambling, like my demons.
All of them.
Yeah, and how I do it, I live in the now. I just worry about right now. When I'm talking to you now, I don't worry about tonight, tomorrow, next week. Right now. As long as I'm doing the right thing right now, that's all I worry about.
Yep.
And I've been blessed because I don't have the urge to gamble anymore. Haven't had it. I don't have the urge to do cocaine or drink I think I finally had enough. I did enough for 100 people, Bob, the stuff I did. And like I said, the crazy part is I managed to keep my life going in spite of, I think I'm a fighter because in spite of all the things that happened, I was able to keep my life going, you know what I mean, and achieve things. My comedy has gone well, and I've achieved a lot of different things in my life in spite of my addictions. Most people that have these addictions,
they're nowhere.
They're nowhere, and I got my family back, and most people they don't get their family back.
Well, that's the other thing. Your wife came back, right?
Well, what happened, we were divorced. 2 times now I'm divorced. I'm never getting married again. I put this in I act kind of as a comic twist on it, but one day I'm riding down the street, ex-wife number 2, Terry, calls me up. She said, John, they told me to get my affairs in order. I have 2 rare lung diseases. I need a double lung
wife
transplant. My second wife, Terry. She was my ex.
Right, yeah.
So I wound up moving back to help her. I moved back to help her, and I had 2 teenagers with her, so I moved back. A year later, she took a turn for the worse. She wound up in Rhode Island Hospital on a thing called ECMO life support, which up until that time, only children got on that.
Yep.
She was the first adult in the history of Rhode Island. She's on their website, ECMO life support. Terry's on their website.
To get a lung?
ECMO life support keeps you alive. It just pumps the blood.
Oh.
It just keeps you alive. She was dying. So the doctor,
At how old?
Geez, that was, I would say she was 53. Yeah, she was dying. And then they flew her out to the Cleveland Clinic in Ohio where she was listed. I had taken her out there a few months before, and she was listed in Boston and Cleveland Clinic, but Boston they said no. So they took her out to Cleveland Clinic on a medical jet. It cost $17,000, Bob.
Wow.
My Uncle Ray, God bless him, he had a credit card. He was able to charge it for us, and we paid him back. And we got her out to Cleveland. And I'll never forget it. I went out the next day. The doctor sat down with me. He said, John, I can't give you any hope, but there's no hope. Your ex-wife has a 2% chance of survival.
2%.
The odds of us finding her lungs, she's only going to be on life support 7 to 10 days. He said, virtually impossible. And then a week went by. The social worker came up to me and said, we have to take off life support tomorrow.
Oh, my God.
So now I'm 2:30 in the morning, the phone rings. I'm in the hotel with my daughter. My son couldn't take it anymore. And I'm thinking, this is it. She died. She must have died. She had to. So I answered the phone. They said, sadly, someone passed away. Miraculously, it's a perfect match to your ex-wife. We're going to operate tomorrow.
Wow.
And we got to the hospital, my daughter and I, at 6 in the morning. And the nurse said, not yet. So what do you mean? They have to do this thing I never heard of. They have to harvest the lungs. They take the lungs out of the person that passed away. She said 80% of the time they're good. 20% of the time there's scar tissue, we can't use them.
Right.
She said at 7 o'clock, the phone will ring, we'll know. I'll never forget it. 7 a.m. on the dot, we're in the Cleveland Clinic in Ohio. My daughter and I, the phone rings, we look at each other. We knew Terry's life was on the line.
With that phone call.
The nurse answered the phone, she went like this. Within 3 or 4 minutes, the surgeon was in the room. They wheeled her out. They gave me a pager. They said, we're going to page you. A few hours went by. The pager goes off. I said, it's too soon. I don't know. This is not good. And then the surgeon told me she made it through the double lung transplant. And I wound up staying at the Cleveland Clinic with her for 3 months. I was in a hotel room. She had to learn how to walk all over again. She had to learn everything because it was like she was in a coma for like so many days, and you just lose your ability to walk and everything else. So she survived. It was a miracle. So like I put that in my act. I'll say
2% chance of survival.
Yeah. So it's an amazing story, and I put that on my act because I kind of make it a little comic twist. I say I'll never forget. My ex-wife was in the recovery room. She got up off the metal table. The first thing I said to myself, the child support will continue. And then I said, she's the ex-wife that won't die. Freddy Krueger, Jason, Mike Myers, Friday the 13th. So 7 years ago, we said, the heck with it. We got remarried. She's my second wife and my third wife. And that's a crazy story. And people are like, and then I'll look at a chubby guy in the audience and I'll say, I became an organ donor after all this happened. But for instance, sir, if I die tonight, I can give you my stomach and you can go to Wright's Farm. You'll have 2 stomachs. You can go to the all-you-can-eat chicken dinner place for 6 months. But that was I made it kind of comical, but but I really believe in organ donation. I joke around about it, but I think it's really important because Terry got someone else's lungs, and 12 years later, she's still the average person with a double lung transplant. They told us 1 to 5 years.
Yeah,
she's at 12 years, and still doing, hanging in, doing pretty well as pretty much a normal life. She has a lot of pills she has to take. Anti-rejection meds every day and all of that.
Still after 12 years?
Yeah, oh yeah, she has to take that. It's kind of crazy, but these pills that she takes, anti-rejection meds, they fool your body into thinking those are your lungs. They're not your lungs. If the body knew it wasn't your lungs, they'd reject them.
Right.
So they have to take these pills in order to fool your body into thinking they're your lungs. It's just a crazy, that's the way it is, you know. So between her and my comeback, we're both like, we made comebacks. I came back from my demons and my addictions, and I'm doing better than I ever had. God, thank God, and Terry's doing better than could ever be expected. And my daughter got married. My son's got a beautiful girlfriend. He lives in Mexico City. And
what's he doing down there?
Yeah, he lives. He told me.
Is she from there?
Yeah, when he got out of college, he said, I don't want to do accounting. I don't want to work in a cubicle the rest of my life. I want to travel the world and work for my computer. And
you want to be like his dad.
He said, you got to get a job. I said, you got to get a job. You can't just. And then he said, I'm going to do copywriting. The next thing you know, he writes a book. And then he writes another book. And the thing winds up, it's about dating. It's how to help guys in their 20s date women in their 20s. The thing becomes.
I was going to do that a long time ago.
It became a bestseller.
Really?
It became a bestseller. So and now he started a company. If you want to write a book, so I was one of his first people. I said, hey, why don't I write a book? And my son found out things about me. Like, the toughest parts in the book were early in my life. There was some tough times with my father.
And you got to tell your kid about that.
Yeah, I had to get into it. He interviewed me and taped it, and then we put it all together, And it's just
he's going, Dad, you did that?
Yeah, I had a lot of lot of ups and downs in my life, a lot of highs, a lot of lows. But the thing, I love my father, and I don't blame him for my problems, but my father couldn't fight back. Like one time my mother left him, he lost weight, he quit drinking, and he was doing pretty good for a while there. But then that was it. Then he started drinking. He eventually died of cirrhosis of the liver.
Right.
Which now, here's another tale. I haven't drank in a number of years. I wound up going to a liver doctor. My primary care said, you should go to a liver doctor.
Right.
And he said, we're going to do a liver scan on you.
Uh-oh.
So I figured, well, I didn't drink in a few years. I'm fine.
Yeah.
So they do a liver scan. A couple of weeks later, I go back to the doctor.
Damage was done.
He said, John, he said, I'm going to tell you, he says, your liver is functioning at 50%. He said, you have the beginning of cirrhosis of the liver. He said, if you don't drink again, you'll probably die of something else. He said, if you drink and party the way you do, he said, you'll live 1 to 3 years.
Wow.
Again, the odds were against me. I'm like, but I said, Doc, I haven't drank in a few years. What if I had kept drinking? He said, you'd be dead. So I knew then I was already done, but now that sealed the deal. This is like a suicide mission if I go out there and think I can party with everybody else. I can't do it.
Right.
I'm not a regular. I know people that can go out and have a beer
Right,
with their dinner and
be done.
glass of wine. They're done.
Yep.
And I'm not that person.
Right.
When it comes to all my addictions, I can't go to Twin River and play slots 20 bucks and leave. Because once I wake up that sleeping giant, see, I learned, Bob, in my lifetime, I look back when I was stopped and when I started one of my addictions, I learned it's a package deal with me. When I do one, I do them all.
Oh, yeah?
Yeah, if I go gamble, I'm gonna order a drink.
Well, it's like people that smoke
Yeah.
when they
Yeah.
drink, or they smoke
It's a
when they
package
gamble.
deal. Everything hits the fan, and that's the end of it. And then I don't know when I'm going to stop. So now I have over 8 years, but I really have 1 minute. I have this minute right now. That's what I have. And my life is peaceful. My comedy's going great. I put together shows all over New England. Got some great shows. I'll be working with Steve Sweeney and Lenny Clark, and I've worked with Bill Burr and a lot of different great comics.
Oh, I like him. I like Bill Burr.
Yeah. Well, Bill Burr and I kind of started together in the early '90s. He was doing open mics with me, and I said, this kid's funny. And I used to do shows at Old McDonald's Chicken Farm in Swansea, which is no longer there.
Right.
But I did all you can eat, all you can laugh dinner comedy shows. So one time I asked Bill Burr, would you like to host for $25? He was a new kid. So Bill Burr hosted the show for me.
Wow.
And he was funny. And then he kind of disappeared, and he wound up going to New York, LA, and he wound up on a sitcom, and then he blew up.
Right.
And one day I'm looking at the TV, and he's got his own special on Comedy Central. And then years later, I opened for him at one of the local comedy clubs. And then in 2017, he asked me if I'd open for him at the Hampton Beach Casino Ballroom in New Hampshire.
Nice.
One show, 2,000 people. I had to do 12 minutes, and then everybody left after he got off. Another show, 2,000 people. It was the most incredible night of my whole career. For 3 months, Bob, I made it. I worked with Lenny Clark 3 nights in a row. I opened for Bill Burr. I met Tammy Pescatelli, a great lady, who was a phenomenal comic, and she had a show at the Friars Club in New York City, asked me if I'd be in her show.
Really?
I did the Friars Club. So for 3 months, I had all these big things happen.
Yep.
And I thought to myself, maybe this is
coming.
Gonna be, maybe this is going to be my chance, my time, and then that was it. So I mean, don't get me wrong, I've done well in New England. I'm a known New England comic, but as far as making it big, that was my 3 months of the big time.
3 months of fame.
And you know what? I've been doing it almost 34 years. Those 3 months, I'd do it again just for those 3 months, how it felt. It was so incredible, Bob. And I'm happy with what I've accomplished. I've helped a lot of new comics.
Well, you're out there. How many shows you do a week?
It depends. It could be anywhere from 1 or 2 to 5 or 6. It depends. Some weeks I have 3 dinner shows in 1 week.
Yeah.
We do different restaurants, and we do.
And you bring, like you said, you help a lot of comics. You have.
I help with new
I've
comics.
been to many of your shows with 7 or 8 or 10 comics you got.
Yeah, we do 3 open mics a week. My friend Steve DiNuccio runs our open mics, and we found a lot of good talent in these open mics. We'll be at an open mic, and hey, this guy's good, this girl's good. Then we ask them, hey, you want to be in this show? You want to be in that show? And we've developed a lot of this talent. And that's how I saw Bill Burr. So you don't know who's going to be at the open mic. You can't discount anybody.
Right. Because
you see somebody and they might be the next big thing, but you help everybody. You don't look down on anybody. You help everybody, and some of them do really well. Some of them, they did it for a bucket list thing or whatever, but some have gone on and done pretty big things, you know what I mean?
Sure, sure.
Like, I mean, I've had a thrill. I mean, I worked with Gilbert Gottfried. I worked with Dane Cook, Bill Burr, Bobby
Dane
Collins.
Cook, speaking of Dane Cook.
Dane Cook.
They hired me to videotape him. He was doing 2 shows. He sold out 2 shows at the Garden. But a couple days before, they wanted to test his material at the Comedy Connection in East Providence.
Yeah.
And I got hired to videotape his show in front of, 300 people that could
Yeah.
fit over there. I got hired to videotape his show, and he was going to look at it, and they were going to look at it and see what material they're going to use or not,
Wow.
not use
Wow.
for that other show in Boston.
Wow.
But the irony is, I didn't think he was funny. I didn't like his type of comedy.
Yeah, yeah.
He
Well, I
was
worked
different.
with him.
I like your comedy better than his comedy.
Well, I worked with Dane Cook at it was the Station Fire Memorial fundraiser at the Providence Performing Arts Center. That was a big night for me too. I hosted, emceed the show, did a little comedy, and then brought up the acts. I had Dane Cook, I had Colin Quinn was there, Frank Santarelli was the bartender in The Sopranos.
Oh yeah,
Stephanie
yeah,
Peters,
Sopranos.
the different comics. We had a great lineup of comics, and that was really cool, to do. You know what I mean? For the Station Fire, that was. So I've had some great moments in comedy for my 34 years, and I wouldn't go back. I'd do it all over again.
Right, right.
All the writing to the crappy gigs and the bachelor parties and the great gigs, the bad gigs. It's a mix of all. But I just love, and the reason that my book is titled "How Comedy Saved My Life" because it became another addiction.
Right.
The laughter,
But it's a good
hearing
addiction.
the laughter,
Right.
and also
Is your new addiction.
it's my new addiction, and it's a good addiction for me because it just I do everything soup to nuts. I go into a restaurant, they want to do a show, I book the show,
Right.
I book the comedians, I send all the info, I get all the info in the dinner, I'll send it all to my flyer guy. He makes a nice flyer, I get it into the restaurant. A lot of times I take the reservations for the shows or they'll take them. So I do everything soup to nuts.
Right.
I do a lot, and because I have a passion for comedy that's unbelievable. And it's really, I believe it's really helped to save my life because without comedy, I mean, a guy like me with all my compulsions, this is compulsive comedy.
Sure.
And my wife puts up with it, but a regular girl probably wouldn't because I'm 7 days a week. Like if my phone rings on a Sunday at 12 o'clock, I might let it go to voicemail. A lot of times I'll answer it.
Right.
And I'll say comedy, and I'll say my name, and I'll answer the phone, and they want this, or they want to hire me for a party, or they want a fundraiser, or they want to make reservations. I believe you got to get to those people because you'll lose it. It's like anything, a sale. If you don't close the deal,
Right, right.
If they call me on a Sunday at 12 and I don't call them till Tuesday at 5, by that time it's probably
They got
gone.
somebody else.
They get somebody else.
Yeah.
So I'm really gung-ho with the comedy. I'm really into it. And I do it because I like performing. And by booking my own stuff, I'm able to perform more. I don't have to depend on you or anybody else.
Sure.
I get bookings from other people, restaurants and comedians, but a lot of my bookings, the majority of myself.
Well, that's a secret to your success, I think.
Yeah, working hard.
Working hard and you're counting on yourself. You
Yeah.
only have to count on yourself.
Yeah.
The other people are there, but you really only count on yourself.
Yeah, definitely.
And you usually open the shows, and then
Yeah.
you close the shows,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah. Yeah, you got to count on yourself because if you count on other people, you don't know what's going to happen.
And doesn't mean that it couldn't still happen for you,
Well, I mean, I'm 67 now.
That doesn't mean a lot.
I mean, I'm happy with what's
Right.
happened to me in my life. I mean, a lot of people say you're happy. You got all these addictions. You got, you know what?
No, you had them.
I wound up getting my family back.
Right.
I got a pretty good comedy career. I'm retired from my job.
Yep.
Overall, I've had a lot of ups and downs in my life, but I do it all over again. I experienced the 70s. They were wild.
Yep.
I went to like Led Zeppelin concerts
Yeah.
and Black Sabbath at the Civic Center. And
I love those guys.
one time I had a long army coat and I had long hair. So we used to go to the P-PAC, was the Palace Concert Theater.
Yes.
Friday and Saturday night, 99 cents. You could get in and watch a movie. They have like the Beatles, Yellow Submarine. So one day, my buddies thought it'd be a good idea. We got John's long army coat. We used to sneak beer in it. Let's put a case of beer in, John.
Put a case of
case
beer?
of beer. A case of beer.
A whole case?
A whole case of Narragansett beer in my long army coat. I'm walking in stiff as
Yeah.
stone. The manager goes, it's me
Really?
in the office. What do you got, a case of beer?
He actually said
He
that?
said that. And they took all the beer out. Then they let us see the movie, but they took the case of beer out. But that's how crazy the stuff we did was another time. Somebody robbed my car. I went with my buddy out partying. We go to Haven Brothers. I come out. He's going to his car. I look, my car's not there. I said, Teddy, my car's not there.
Car's gone?
So he takes me to his house. He lets me use, he had a beat-up Chevy Nova. So I'm thinking to myself, I'm going to go back to Providence and find my car. Who finds their car that's stolen?
Right.
An hour later, I'm like 3:30 in the morning, I'm driving around Providence. All of a sudden, I see my car. It was a green Chevy Impala. You stickle like a sore thumb.
Right.
I pull up next to it at the red light. There's two young teenagers in it. I started yelling, you son, I'm swearing, you guys, it's my car. They took off.
Of course.
Now, I took off after them. Now, I don't know where the police were that night. There was red lights, stop signs. We went through everything. I wound up they went down a side street off Smith Street. They get out of the car, they go running. So now I got my car running. I got the other guy's car,
Right.
my friend's running. I'm beeping the horn. Hopefully somebody comes to the window. Nobody comes to a window. It's 4 in the morning. I'm only with 2 cars running, not a little tipsy. I'm like, what am I going to do now? So I go around a corner, call the police. They come. They went up driving both of the cars home to my house, right? And there I was. I found my own stolen car an hour later. Who does that? That's in the book, that high-speed chase, because it was a high-speed chase.
Yeah.
I could have got killed. I wasn't even that thinking.
Right. Now, how long ago was that?
Oh, that was, I want to say, that was around 82, 83. Yeah, that was a long time ago.
Yeah.
That was crazy, Bob. But the book has got a lot of funny stories, a lot of sad stories. It tells about from when I was a little kid, through my Navy years, through my years at the prison, my 3 marriages. It tells about my comedy career. It's my family. It's got a lot, and people. The reviews I'm getting that I read.
Right.
It says people. It's a page turner. They're getting into it. They don't want to put it down.
They're not putting it down.
Yeah. So it's my son. We put it together well. It's a good story. It wasn't an easy story to tell. You know, I got one thing, and I got molested when I was a kid.
Oh,
when I was
God.
about 11 years old. I mean, I got some heavy stuff in the book that happened to me.
Well, that probably screwed you up more than anything.
Oh yeah, I got some heavy stuff in the book. I mean, I'm in therapy. I met a therapist when I got out of rehab in the early '80s. I've been with him the last like 25 years. Phenomenal therapist, and I always say to him, I said, if everybody in life was in a therapy, the world would be a better place.
Right.
Because we got a lot of wacky people running around.
This is
so
true.
If everybody was in therapy, maybe we could get our stuff together here.
Yeah.
In the world, never mind the whole world, we could get ourselves together. But all I can worry about is keeping myself together.
You and now.
And just my part is keeping myself together. That's all I worry about, and my family. And that's all I worry about. And it's the best I can do. I'll help anybody.
Yep.
I've had people, hey, John, can you talk to my cousin? He's got this, he's got that. Can you know, I've tried to help a lot of people. But the main thing is in this whole thing, I've learned to help myself. And that eluded me for many years. I didn't know how to help myself.
Right.
I finally figured out, I'm with me
You
24
come
hours
first.
a day. It's me 24 hours a day.
Right.
You can't be with me 24 hours a day. Nobody. So for 24 hours a day, God and me, I got to keep an eye on myself. I can't let myself think, oh, I can go do this or I can go do that.
Right.
I know now that I can't do these certain things. I call them my demons. I can't do these things. So I just stay like I'm doing on a straight and narrow path.
Stay away from all those other things.
Yeah, and I feel good. I feel good, and I got a good life. I don't blow money fool. I used to lose $1,000 a day, Bob, with my addictions. It would be nothing for me to spend $1,000 on a day through the course of different things I was
And
doing.
that leads to other things.
Yeah,
'Cause you
so
got to pay back that money, or you got to
Yeah,
find a
yeah.
way to get it.
I went bankrupt twice. The first time wasn't bad because they was Chapter 7 back in the
Right.
old days. They wiped it all out.
Right. Now it's 11.
But around 2010, I went bankrupt for the second time. And when I went bankrupt, the bankruptcy, I went to a friend of mine who was a lawyer. I said, can you call these credit card companies up? I owed like 75 grand. He said, can you call these companies up and work out a deal where I can
Pay
I
a
said, John,
percentage.
he said, if you don't go bankrupt, he said, you will never pay these off. You will never straighten out. You'll be a financial ruin, a mess. So I didn't want to do it. I listened to him. It was the best advice, some of the best advice I ever got. I went bankrupt, and I had to pay $1,000 a month bankruptcy for 5 years. I had to pay $1,200 a month child support.
That's $60,000.
I'm paying $2,200 a month child support and bankruptcy before I made $1. I used to work overtime. I'd hustle comedy shows. And 5 years later, I learned a hell of a lesson. I'll tell you that. Because when I got done with that bankruptcy, I said, that's it. I just knew the jig was up. I had to stop all this insanity.
Yep.
Because my therapist told me, you live like you're a millionaire. I was living like I was Johnny Carson. I was living like I was rich. I take my kids. Most guys would get their kids a Happy Meal. I take them to Twin Oaks and get them. What do you want? Steak today?
Steak,
I just did whatever I wanted to do. I had a crazy life. I did whatever I wanted to do.
Right.
And it just was nuts.
Well, like you said, you had a good time at it, right?
I had a hell of a time. I had a heck of a time. But the party had to stop, Bob. Because in my wake, the thing I realize now, and I feel bad, and I do the best I can today, I hurt people. I hurt my first wife.
Right.
I hurt my second wife. I hurt my kids. I hurt my parents. I hurt my in-laws, 2 sets of in-laws I had. I hurt a lot of people. And I don't want to hurt anybody else anymore, because when you have someone that has any kind of active addiction, they're hurting people.
Yep.
They might not mean to. You don't mean to hurt these people.
Right, exactly.
If I could have a day back with my parents and tell them how sorry I was some of the things I did, I can't. You can't get that back. So you can't beat yourself up over it, but you just have to do your best today, and just don't beat yourself up, and don't hurt anybody else.
Put a stop to it. You got to put a stop to it.
Now the way my life is, I don't have to hurt people. I don't have to hurt anybody. My kids.
Oh, you make them laugh.
I
I
make people laugh. I got a great relationship with my kids.
Yep.
My wife, so much, but we got marriage.
She'll see this.
Marriage is another institution. That's a whole other thing. That's a whole other thing.
Well, you know what? You've done an hour with Bob. You know that, right?
It's an hour. Is an hour up?
We're just about done, I think. We got about a minute left, right?
Wow.
Yeah.
I guess we covered everything, Bob.
Hey, do you know a comedian named Craig Shoemaker?
Yeah.
He was my favorite. When I used to go down to Newport Comedy Series with Joe Rocco every week. I saw every comedian down there, and the guy that made me laugh the most was Craig Shoemaker.
He was a great
from
comic.
California.
Oh yeah.
And his ex-wife was from Tiverton, Rhode Island.
Oh, I didn't know
Yeah,
that.
yeah.
Oh wow.
And I'll tell you something off air about him. That had that happen after. By the way, I got bit. Look at the marks on me. I'm sure people have
What'd
noticed.
you get bit by, Bob?
I got bit by not a mosquito, by a spider. Yeah, I'm waiting for the blood work to come back. I think it's a spider. Yeah, I shoot a spider off me. I didn't feel the bite, but after that, I've been developing all these things. I got the 3 dots.
Jesus, Bob.
Yeah. I don't know what the hell's going on. Or maybe I also got bit by a tick, too. Because I was down in Jamestown, which is the tick capital of Rhode Island.
God willing, you're all right, because this state needs you, Bob. We love you. I've known you for years. You're one of my absolute favorite people, and I got to get that in. You are the best of the best. They don't make them like you anymore. You had me on your show a bunch of times, and I've always enjoyed.
We've had fun.
Whenever I hang with you or you come to one of our shows, when I see you, I always love you. There's Bob. I love Bob. You're great.
Well, thank you for spending an hour with Bob.
Thanks, Bob.
Again.
I appreciate it. I appreciate it.
And folks, thank you for spending an hour with Bob and John Perrotta.